Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Regenerative Inspiration. Today I'm here with Chris Hallberg, and I've got some exciting conversations I know we're going to have. It's going to range around quite a bit of topics, but a lot of that is going to be around entrepreneurship, leadership, systems, and also we might even talk about some mushrooms or something like that. So remind me about that later. But hey, we are here, and ultimately Chris has been a CEO, a founder, the original OG for EOS systems in Denver. You can tell me a lot more about what you do, but you've been the consultant, but you've been the owner, you've been now you have a generative AI company with GoExpand.com. Fill me in a little about who Chris is, and we'll take it from there. How about that?
Well, my mom and dad met. No, we don't have to go that far back, but
Exactly.
I
You were a winner.
Yeah, I'm a winner. So I like real quick, typical high energy child, like back when it was okay to leash your kid to a tree and that wasn't a social bad thing. Yeah. That was me. I needed a harness, otherwise I would go explore. I spent the majority of my school years in the hallway, so I wouldn't be disruptive. Like, hey, I'll give you a passing grade, but you're gonna be over
Hallberg
here.
To the hall.
Yeah, it's pretty much like show up, like, okay, and here's the cue. I haven't said anything yet. Like, listen, we know this is gonna happen. So, I was told early on, Chris, no one's gonna pay you to talk all day. So just be quiet, learn to be quiet and follow along.
Yeah.
And, well, here I am spending the majority of my days working these muscles, communicating, really being passionate, having lots of energy. I'm naturally caffeinated, and that's a lot. But I really appreciate that horrible advice I got from public school teachers, and didn't, disregarded all of it. And now, I coach people that have PhDs, and I literally just barely got out of high school, did a few college courses, and I don't even think you can call me a college dropout because I wasn't there long enough to really be there.
Very good. You were a mascot, maybe?
Yeah, there you go. That might have been a good job for me at the time.
I remember, I think it was second grade, we had a teacher, and we had these eye care cards. And if you didn't get your name on the board, you got an eye care card. Well, they had the mistake of showing me the little teddy bear that you would win if you had the most eye care cards at the end of the year. So I didn't care about the teddy bear. So I had my name and 2 checks on the board most days of the year. The third check was, the spanking at that time back when you did that in school.
Yeah.
And the principal's office, right? So, and that was one of those things where, like, if you went to the principal's office, then my dad would be like, whatever they do, I'm gonna do twice.
Oh, so there it is. So there's progressive discipline.
But
there.
I care, and the talking, I would have been in the hall like way more times than most, I would say. As
so
well.
It was the I don't care.
We already
card
have this
for
like good rapport because that's
We would have disrupted class together, I think, back in the day. But
we
now
can do it now.
It's in the I don't care card because you didn't care. So it meant to be an I care.
That's
and
exactly
to you,
right.
It was an I don't care card.
Yeah, I wish I'd have kept one. Like, that'd have been a good souvenir for me to like put somewhere. But
yeah, you never know. With eBay, you could find one. But that's a good core memory right there. I as a fellow maverick and pseudo not rule follower, that's the way to roll.
Yeah, I know you work with, I just actually came from a SOTF, operational, like SOTF, and I'm going to have maybe one of them on here at one point too. But I just came from a networking event with them, and I know you work with placing former military, and you had worked with them. Can you talk about that just a little bit?
Yeah, SOTF, the Special Operations Transition Foundation. Josh Johnson is their CEO. We have a memo of understanding, MOU, with them. And what Business Sergeant does, we're a veteran-powered recruiting company. So my business partner, Michael Crisilla, is a recently retired Green Beret, like a Jedi Knight, Silver Star, Purple Heart, real deal Green Beret, and was a warrant officer and an instructor and a targeting officer. So high-level operator. So I'm not asking other CEOs to do anything I haven't done myself. These are superhuman, not just physically, mentally. They're thinkers, they're autonomous. So the special operations folks are just, they're gods amongst regular Army folks or National Guardsmen. I was an MP, and I remember when I was in Panama, and in the morning we were turning in our weapons after the overnight shift, and the 7th Special Forces group were parachuting into the parade field as we're, doing that. It's like, wow, that was way cooler than what we did last night, all night. But anyway, SOTF is an amazing cohort I think Josh has between 300 and 400 special operators who have transitioned in the last few years that are going through his cohort. And ultimately, large corporations that support them and they're very well connected, place those operators in their, civilian mission, whether it's their last one or they're, entering the workforce a little earlier than military retirement. So if, we have some really great military positions open, for obviously all veterans, that's who we place. And with Michael's connection with the Special Forces, and Josh actually was an MP and then SF. So I guess we're cool because he's former MP. But very impressive what they do. And if we find an opportunity and one of their operators wants to go there, then we just take care of SOTF just like, one of those big corporations do. So it's, what's great about partnering is we already know that all of those candidates are, curated, they're special operators. They've been selected out of 1,000 people 1,000 times. And selection isn't just selection, it's every day you wear that funny green hat or Navy SEAL or Army Ranger or any of these other great SOCOM operators. So at the end of the day, what we do is we focus on leveraging all of that training and years of experience and problem solving and relationship building and project management and targeting and just amazing skills that all transfer over. So the sales pitch that I give a CEO is listen, help me understand this. Well, just imagine a superhuman of leadership who has been tested 1,000,000 times and has really never failed, or if they failed a little bit, they've overcome it 100 times again. And putting them into situations you might find stressful or difficult or challenging is pales in comparison to their hardest problem they've ever solved. So what I'll say is all right, imagine your best leader, the team, the leader that is loved the most, that develops people, is calm, is centered, is logical, is intelligent, really thinks about the team as a whole. And that leader, they couldn't carry my guy's rucksack for an afternoon or deal with a month of the problems that happen on a daily basis. But my guys can learn what you do in a quarter or two. I mean, if you're splitting atoms, nuclear fission, molecular biology,
a little different.
Neurosurgery, there's some things that
might take a year.
Yeah, however many years the licensing process, I think is close to 10 years for some of those. But I would say for 99% of all civilian jobs, someone with that level of skill, you can just place them there, and this halo effect, this ripple effect of awesome, the centrifugal rings that just flow around these people. And sometimes people think, ooh, I don't know, I've got some snowflakes here. I don't know if a military operator, all that yelling, no, you've confused a special operator with a drill sergeant. A drill sergeant takes young men and women, and shakes the civilian out of them over 4 or 5 months, and turns them into a soldier. And a big part of that is the whole experience of, we're going to do it the Army's way. Oh, you have a suggestion box? Where is the suggestion box? There isn't one. Be quiet. Push until you have no more suggestions. Their whole job is to break you down and build you up. These folks, there's not a lot of yelling. There's a lot of confidence. There's a lot of research. There's you know what I mean? It is another level of execution. So we don't find too many business problems they don't walk in and just kind of sort out within a quarter or two.
Well, I walked into a panel this morning, and it was interesting because I just heard so we were selected, and they said you're shipping out in 18 hours, but first we're going to strap you into your pilot seat and flip you upside down in water, and if you can get out, you're going to be on this mission. So basically, if you can get out underwater, submerged, while we're trying to drown you, that's because it had to simulate a crash in the water. They're we know you're airborne certified and you can do that, but you need to, if you crash in water. So
Yep.
18
Follow the
hours,
bubbles
we
is the
shift.
coaching.
So,
Just breathe, and where the
so
bubbles go,
it's
that's
like,
where you want to go.
so that's
Yep.
the type of thing that, like, why wouldn't you want to have somebody that could like be like, okay, I'll take that, and then yes, sure, may I have another? So it's like, but that's the type of people that you can convert into systems that really work really well. And speaking of systems, I think there's a lot of entrepreneurs that watch this, a lot of leaders that watch this, and a lot of the frustration comes with lack of systems, right? And so, I have a regenerative farm. I don't know if you knew that or not, but I like, you have to think about what it could be next year. Is there going to be more rain? Is there going to be less rain? Is it going to be this? Or what do I need to plant for that? Or especially with like a crop that might be like an orchard, that it takes many years to get to a place where you're actually harvesting the right thing, and you got to do the right thing. So you're looking at seasons, not necessarily quarters. And I feel like many of the businesses out there are thinking about like this month, this quarter, next quarter, and that's it. And so can you talk about that a little bit? And
Yeah. So the trick here is to use compartmentalization. So if we have a 10-year target, go do some EOS coaching real quick. A 10-year target, the big, hairy, audacious goal, 5 to 35 years. Most people pick 10 years because it's far enough to dream out, but you can look at Facebook with your 10-year memories, and they don't seem like they're that long ago. So it's a good, healthy spot. You set that and don't change it. You write it in stone and you tell everyone you're doing it. So you make this public declaration. We're going there. So you kind of have to, because I told everybody. So a little accountability to the leaders is a good thing. And then every year we correct a 3-year picture and a 1-year plan. And then we operate towards those and recast a 3-year picture and a 1-year plan. And that's done annually. Inside of that year, we have 4 quarterly meetings. And, we have these things called rocks, projects, big priorities, initiatives, strategic, usually outside of the day-to-day, not always, but when done, give you a new capacity, a new capability. So we have your day job, 80% as a leader or focused on running the business you have. 20% of the time is focused on the future. So here's an example of seasons, or being at least a quarter or 2 ahead, is people. By the time you say, oh my goodness, we're overwhelmed, we need some people. Well, it takes 2 or 3 months to find the right person and onboard them. And then another 3 months to make them like serviceable, like comfortable with policy and procedure and how the business works. So that's a 180-day, 6-month affair. So that means every quarter when I meet my teams, I'm looking for when we need people 6 months from now. And those are the green lights that I'm pushing for in this quarter, right? So if we're coming up on our, end of June, early July, end of Q2, we're talking about folks that are going to start beginning of the year next year. And if you're not thinking what crops are going to go next year, next season, how are the people doing? What does the data say? And if you're not 6 months out, you're behind. So if people are like, oh my gosh, I think we're behind, you're going to be uncomfortably behind for about 6 months until you get into the discipline of looking past this quarter. I mean, there's also a lot of brilliance in Gino Wickman, my close friend and the creator of EOS, when he said, and the rocks thing to Covey, and how he brought that and so many other wonderful, simple practices from the business greats. EOS, right, has a lot of stuff that's proven. There's no theory in there. He just stripped everything down and got it to work well together beautifully. But that compartmentalization is a big part of it. Saying, that's a problem, I get it, but I'm not going to give that any mental energy. We've already got our rocks. We've got our scorecards. We are moving this quarter's mission in service to the 1-year plan, which is in service to the 3-year picture, which is in service to the 10-year target. So I get it. That sucks, but let's not talk about it. We're gonna crack that one next quarter. Yeah. So having the discipline to not try to work on problems that you really can't solve, but there's a lot of squeaky wheels and a lot of attention, to be disciplined and say, listen, we're running the system. I see you. My apologies. This is going to suck for a quarter or 2, but when we get to it, we're going to take it out and it's going to be worth the wait. Because the structural things, the foundational things, the basement we're building for this 100-story tower, that concrete and rebar's got to firm up before we start adding. Or there's an architect in Pisa, Italy. That dude is famous for the wrong reasons, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. The bigger you want to build a business, the the stronger the foundation needs to be.
Yeah, and speaking of Pisa, actually, they had come in and reinforced a bunch on the other side, and it actually sank more, it got worse. So they had to change their whole system around, and they finally figured out a way to correct it like 1 degree. That was about it.
Wow.
So yeah.
Something
So it
else.
just shows you, like, but in reality, they probably had to tear the whole thing down and rebuild it back up if you wanted to do that. But they weren't going to do that at this point. So now it's a little
No.
too famous.
Yeah, exactly.
Got my picture holding it.
That's the pose,
Yeah,
right? Yep.
exactly. So a lot of founders, right? They get involved in the business, they build the business, they get to a certain place, and then they feel a little bit stuck, maybe because they don't have the systems or things like that. Where do you take them to a place where, like, their culture can regenerate, their systems can regenerate without them, right? So that you take the founder out, and all of a sudden it breaks or it doesn't break, right? So can you give me some advice on that?
Yeah, so the military is just one big system. There's an acronym and a workflow and a process that one does to get things done. Just like if you're going to get on a helicopter or a fixed-wing aircraft and you haven't gone through drown-proof or ditching or survival training, whatever they call it, you can't get on. Like, there's a great example. Like, can't you bend the rules for me just once? The answer would be no, right? So thinking about systems are what gives entrepreneurs freedom to be a visionary. So visionaries, CEOs, visionaries usually come from sales and marketing. They like to start things. They don't finish so many things as they start, but that's kind of their mode. I'm a visionary entrepreneur, like flaming visionary. I love to have 47 new ideas a day and, really build things. But like sitting there behind a desk operating those things, I get bored. The ADD crowd, neurodivergent crowd, they're usually on the visionary side. In EOS, we have this thing called the integrator. This is somebody who loves spreadsheets, HR conversations, long detailed operational meetings about how we're going to do things. So it's kind of a dynamic duo, Batman and Robin. So when I hear that, I'm like, okay, we might have a visionary that doesn't have an integrator. So they're having to have the ideas and get them executed. And it's two different skill sets, and one brings energy and one saps energy. So it's really understanding that when you have the right people in the right seats, famously coined by Jim Collins in his masterpiece, Good to Great, so many years ago, right people share your core values. They vibe like you do. What's important to you is important to them. And we're not fighting about how we do things or what quality looks like or what's important, what's not important again. But the right seat means GWC, there's an acronym, just like the military. That's why military people love an operating system like EOS, because it's just, everything's got a nice little box to go in. This goes there. What do you do? Oh, you do this. What do you do with your rocks? You make them smart. What's smart? Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely, right? There's more acronyms behind you. So to have a founder that wants to sell their business or go to another season of their entrepreneurial journey, that really can't happen unless you have the right people in the right seats. And when you do, a lot of times you're just getting in the way. So that's what I help founders do, is find the right people in the right seats, teach them the process, and manage everything with a productive tool that's engaging and encompassing and holistic. It allows you to reward and recognize and spot levels of low performance so you can do it. So when a founder has all those systems and a number two in place that knows how they think and has that, then it's time to talk about, the Florida house or the Puerto Rico or Panama or Costa Rica, where a lot of my founders live, because we've helped them create those systems, and they can come and go and travel and be with family and see the world and have a hour-long meeting once a week with their integrator to all their companies and speak the same language, have access to the data, and then show up and shake hands and kiss babies and do visionary stuff, because everybody loves the visionary because they're horrible at holding people accountable, because they're just hurt children and they want to be loved, right? They're overcompensating for something. All of us visionary entrepreneurs have some issues.
You touched on a point there, though. It's that, I know a lot of the companies here that have won a lot of awards in the area since I've been part of the Colorado Companies Watch, the Titan 100, a ton of winners there. And like, I know that a lot of the awards like workplace and everything else go to EOS, like implementers or operators or companies that are operating. I don't even know how to say that right, but like,
EOS ran companies that work with
EOS ran companies, run companies. And so that side of things, talk about that a little bit, because when people come into a workplace and they have that, is it just because they're checking off the box, or is there something extra? Because like a lot of people have a lot of lists, but it doesn't seem like you get the awards for having lists.
Well, there's awards are diverse.
Yeah.
A lot of business awards. If you write someone a check, congratulations, you've
Yeah.
won.
Yeah.
And you have some fake facade of crystal by the front, and it
Right.
says that, we bought ourselves this award.
Right.
And the revenue is with the plaques and the, the association or the magazine or like that.
Right.
Those are vanity awards when
Right.
you have to pay money. I'm talking like a business journal.
Mhm.
Denver Business Journal, business journals as a business are in every major city. And they're going to do an entire engagement survey
Mhm.
to all of your employees. And there has to be like a 75, 80% response rate just to qualify,
Yeah.
right? When most employee surveys are responded in 35, 45%. That's an
Yeah.
average. So we have to have high participation. And there can't be, here's your bonus or free card, now meet the business journal.
Right.
There's,
Right.
have you been incentivized? Like if they don't like the coffee filters, they're going to tell the business journal that, because it's completely blind, anonymous.
Yeah.
And the questions are about fairness and discipline and accountability and opportunity and bad bosses, good bosses, opportunity for growth, compensation, benefits, like everything that's important to employee. So to win this award, at least in Denver, and I think it's pretty much the same everywhere, you're in like the high 80s, mid 90th percentile in engagement. The average business in America is engaged about 35, 40%.
Yeah.
That's why there's TV shows about The Office. And that stuff's funny,
Right.
unless you're one of the characters
It
in
is
the
funny.
ensemble.
Unless
Then
that was actually your office.
yeah, then it's less funny when you're Dwight Schrute or you work for Dwight Schrute or somebody like from The Office. So like just a point of context, like you said, the Titan 100,
Yeah.
which is a great program. I remember when that started. Was it last year or the year before? It wasn't this year. I think it was 2 years ago.
Mhm.
I had 6 of my founders
Yeah.
win, and there's 100. So
Yeah.
just me as a single EOS coach in Denver, I had 6 of my founders
It's pretty
getting
awesome.
awarded. And so 3 or 4 is a light year for me
Yeah.
with Titan.
Yeah.
And then we go to Denver Business Journals. My company's at this point, I think I stopped counting, around 200
200.
individual awards. And that's
Not
probably
bad.
40 to 60 companies who have won multiples, some 7
Yeah.
or 8 years in a row.
So do you have your own jersey where you have your own like little like,
like my
badge-
Letterman's
you have your
jacket?
badges,
Yeah, wouldn't that be
it's the
neat?
military, like, all the different things that are on,
Yeah, the military is great about giving you, hey, you didn't get arrested for 5 years. Here's a good conduct medal. You know what I mean? Like some of those racks are impressive, and some of them are.
Well, speaking about prisons, though,
Yeah.
you were a military police at 17
Yes.
and a sergeant at 23.
Yes.
So talk about that. How in the world did you do that?
Yeah. So I
That's
think I was
young.
a corporal at 19, and then made sergeant at 20 in the Guard. I made in Department of Corrections. I made sergeant at 23.
Okay.
And managed officers in their 30s, 40s, and 50s.
Yeah.
My current age range. And
So
that
you
was
were
interesting.
managing at 23, 30, 40, 50-year-old people in the military at that point.
Yeah, I mean, in the civilian law enforcement,
Mhm.
in the military, I was a young leader, and probably made rank a few years early because I started at E3, private first class,
Okay.
because I got 5 of my classmates to enlist with me.
Okay.
So I got the distinguished recruiting ribbon, which was really fun to have that show up while I was in basic training. The drill sergeants had a really good time with that. So I really wish the commanding general didn't write me a personal letter, because he read that, and then I was proceeded to, hey, recruiter, come do this thing. And
Got it.
who's unhappy with the recruiter now that you're here? Half the hands, take it out on private first class Hallberg.
So what were some of the things you confronted, though, at that young age? You had obviously some adversity, that you probably had some challenges and things like that. What was that like, trying to govern over older people, right?
Yeah, well, I think if you grew up like learning disabled, little dyslexia, ADD, they didn't have a name for it. They just said go to the hallway. So being neurodivergent, like, has its own challenges. Like, it's a superpower, but there's a fair amount of kryptonite on the other side. Usually your superpower and your kryptonite can be the same thing, right? If you don't have the balance. So it was challenging, but like, to say that you're committed and well practiced and well rehearsed and confident, those, being young, hey, the boy sergeant, like I've got boots older than you, there's certainly, you're going to run into some of that. But when people see you early and late and full of stuff, head to toe full of stuff, and, being at the front, not a boss leading from the back, but a leader.
Yeah.
I want to pull people. I don't want to push people. And I had a lot of great examples of leadership, some amazing leaders that I would want to emulate and model, and some other, like, I never want to, someone leaves the room and everyone's like, ugh, like, I don't ever want that to happen. So I think I got a lot of really great examples of world-class leadership, and then some examples of some apocalyptically horrible leadership. So having so many examples very early in life, I think gave me a leg up. And when I got all those uniforms in 1999, no one really told me I couldn't be that fired up sergeant type, pick up your whatever and follow me from the front. That served me very well in sales management and being a sales executive and a business owner several times over. And it's just a fire, to have people have a pilot light. Some are just barely on and little breeze and it's out, and other people, it burns hot.
Yeah. Well, how do you think that you can motivate people that have that little like flame and push it to the hot? Like, is there anything you can do?
Yeah, I don't know if people can really be motivated or held accountable. I think, like, if the position is a calm, centering, low energy, stable, then those folks are wonderful in those roles. If the role requires hot, burning, driving, pushing, maximizing, then those roles are good for those people. So I'm a big fan of putting the right personality archetype with the right role archetype.
Yeah.
And anytime you get that wrong, you're putting people in a horrible situation. They're going to fail. If you need one thing and they naturally provide the other, that's going to be uncomfortable for everyone.
Yeah.
So, like, structure first, people second is an EOSism. Most people are like, what are you good at?
Yeah.
And then I create a role for you, and then you leave, because 20 years in a gold watch is, not super common. Now I have to find the carbon copy of you to replace you. And there's only one of you. Like, Mom was right. They broke the mold when they made you. You're special.
Yeah.
So what I want to do is create positions that 1,000 people in the market would qualify, would have the base experience for. Then we'll find the one that's culturally a fit and, has the get it, want it capacity. If you got 10 candidates, we want the highest cultural fit with the highest level of get it, want it capacity.
Yeah.
That's candidate number one. And if we have our structure for the next several years, we already know what it's going to cost, what we're getting, what that looks like, and they're willing to hold themselves accountable because they want what we have. And the world's become a bit over-inclusive to the point where it's kind of silly in some cases. It's okay to be exclusive to the wrong people who are going to keep you from executing your mission, or are going to fight the people that are righteous doing the work.
Yeah.
It's okay to say, you can do that, just not here.
Right.
I mean, it's a free country. Go find an environment that allows that or that champions that, because you're not going to like that here. We don't want that. We want this. And if you don't want to do that, it was great to meet you. Not, well, they came for an interview, I guess I owe them a spot at the company. You have to curate a team.
Right.
And it's structure first, people second. So once you know who you are, why you exist, what you do, who you do it with, and who you don't do it with, then we just put everything in a neat little box. And then we use the art and science of discovering great core values that talk about the vibe of your tribe. And then we have personality assessments. We want to use the science before you interview someone. When you're shorthanded and someone has a resume that looks good, that might be a total cultural bomb. They might be miserable. They might not have the energy or what the rest of the team appreciates, and you're desperate. So you're like, oh my God, there's the mirror. You fog it, come on in. Most A players would rather run short for another 3-4 weeks than deal with the wrong person, because they're not only doing their job, they're now fixing their work.
Dragging it around,
So in the rowing business, if someone gets injured, I think they jump out of the boat. So, we're 200 pounds less, even though we're an oar short. So oftentimes when we remove the wrong person in the wrong seat, oftentimes the business doesn't even rehire the position because the team is now going faster without the constriction of the wrong person. So we're actually doing more with less because we have harmony and we have compliance, and we have a great relationship. So, putting the wrong people in the wrong seats is the number one problem. Keeping the wrong people in the wrong seats for too long is the number one problem I see all the time, everywhere. My job.
Yeah.
Because I know what great looks like and I know what great looks like.
Yeah.
A business owner, let's just call that a tree. Every piece of bark, every limb, every branch, every leaf, every knot. It's your tree. I'm more of the forest ranger. I see a lot of trees. That one's got bugs, that one's got dry rot, and someone's been cutting that down secretly, and it's not as strong as you think it is. And it's easy to spot those things if that's what you're trained to do, and you have, decades of experience leading teams or curating teams. It seems really natural to me, like obvious, but this is what I do for a living.
Yeah. Telling
someone, they're kind of nose blind, right? You ever go to someone's house for dinner and they have a cat and you're like, are you guys cooking meth in here? Like, what is that smell? It's horrible. It's burning my nose. Oh, that's Fluffy. That's Mr. Jinxie. Like, oh, okay, great. Like,
Mr. Jinxie hasn't had his poop pulled out for a while.
Yeah, I'm not sure you really understand what's going on here.
Whose job is to clean that out.
But it's a fair thing as humans, right? We can get used to things. That's one of the best things about humans, we're very adaptable. It's also one of the very worst things about human beings is we can adapt to some pretty unhealthy situations. So our range is great, but this is back to like having a vision that you want 80% of the world to say, I don't want to do that. But the 20% that says, ooh, that looks good.
That's what you want.
Now we're cooking. Now you curate a team of a bunch of people who want to be there. They're in it to win it. You can't make someone commit.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's a self actualization. That is someone saying, this fits mine. So the key for the business community is to be very clear who's successful here. We're going to do big, hard things. We're going to run 5-minute miles. So if you don't even like to run, hey, don't even bother with the interview. And if you're a slow runner, let's talk about.
Were you talking to my wife?
Yeah. Well, there's a fast group and a slow group everywhere. So,
She likes to run. She was a collegiate runner.
Okay, so she's in the fast group. So
me, I would rather sprint and be done.
Okay, all right, good. There you go.
So I know that I had never heard that example about a tree, right? Examining the tree and you're the forester and you see it and it makes complete sense. And that's what so many people don't understand about coaching or advisors or board members is selecting those people that have seen all the trees. It gives you wisdom, it gives you understanding, and it then gives you the ability to make the choice to apply or not apply, to quit or not to quit, or how far you want to run and how fast you want to run, right? So I think that's awesome. The other thing I thought, I love brain types, right? So I'd love to understand what brain type that you use in your system because, it's Myers-Briggs or DISC or, there's 15 of them now. But I love that because it's really putting people in the right place. It's putting them in the right passion. It's giving them the right skill set of the way that they take in subjective matter or innovative thoughts. You have to talk to people in the right way, right? So if you're speaking to them in terms or examples that they're really not equating in their own way they process, and everybody processes their own way. They just don't capture that, right? So I think that's awesome there. So what do you use on EOS? So what do you use for brain typing?
Kolbe is the official assessment for the EOS process, and there's cognitive, conative, and affective are the three parts of the human mind. Most of the personality assessments on the market are cognitive.
Yes.
Conative, like your wiring, like how you approach issues, like how you stalk. That is something that's set by 15, 16 years old. So that's why we recommend the Kolbe, because your conative assessment will change throughout life. Your cognitive will change. Your conative, that's your wiring. And I'm a 5383. I think very similar to Gino. And it's 5 in fact finder, 3 in follow through, 8 in quick start, 3 in implementer. So that just means that I'm kind of in the middle. For folks that are high fact finders, I can hang with them for a while. Then I'm like, give me the cliff notes. And for the folks that don't need any details, I need a little bit more. Follow through is a 3, meaning I start more than I finish. So having an assistant, having an integrator, having staff to compensate for that low follow through. But that 8 quick start is high risk. It's like, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's get started. Where's Chris? Well, he's already done. He started a while ago.
Yeah.
Versus a low quick start, which you want in a CFO.
Yeah.
What you want in operations is you want a high fact finder and a low quick start. And what you're going to get in sales, marketing, and visionary positions is a low follow through with a high quick start. So it's kind of like a teeter totter.
Yeah.
Like the lower the one, the higher the other.
Right.
But we get into the ocean, the openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. The ocean or the big 5. So the GoExpand software app that I have has the ocean inside, and since they ran their patent out a few years ago, it's free. Companies don't have to spend $100, $200 for these assessments. They can assess everyone before they interview them. So first thing you have to do is you have to assess your team. And the top quartile, the bottom quartile. You'll find that the unicorns, the top performers, will all share 1 or 2 personality archetypes. So if you only interview the applicants that already have the correct wiring, their propensity to be successful goes up like, 5x, 10x. It is like the one thing. And then culture index or predictive index are much deeper tools, that require a lot of training, and they're more accurate. So like if you have an assessment process and you're only interviewing the people that have the wiring and they have the resume and they interview well, you're going to have like 2 out of 3 hit rate in a 1.5, 2 year period versus 1 out of 3.
Yeah.
So it is a game changer. It is the highest ROI on anything you can spend for your business. Is defining who you are, assessing the successful people and the not successful people. And if we don't even meet the people that don't have the wiring to be successful, well, you decrease your opportunity to not be successful, increase your opportunity to be quite successful really when we get some experience with that. So it's that's kind of like a hack, a cheat in business, and very few people do it. I mean, all of my clients do it because that's part of this works. This is how we do it. That's one of the main ingredients in my approach. And with, a couple hundred Best Place to Work awards, I think that's working. Good. And again, my clients are the ones that did all that work. That's their awards. But following a system like EOS and having a mindset like the business sergeant, and then having tools that tell the truth, you can't identify as being successful. You're successful when you've reached the predetermined successful line. And it's okay to be more successful than that, but it's not okay to be like, well, I tried hard. Where's my participation trophy? Like, you can't take an excuse to your banker. You could try, but it's not going in the account.
Just doesn't work, does it?
No.
So are you familiar with DNA behavior, Hugh Massey, by any chance?
Vaguely, not enough to speak intelligently.
So he's been on the show here too. So he's out of Atlanta, but he has 250 million people in his database that he has more of a financial index on how their behavioral brain type works. And it's incredible information. I mean, it's like that you can have a 70% accuracy rate, like without even, like by just putting somebody's email and name in, and you could like actually filter out people that maybe wouldn't be the best candidates to begin with, send applications over here. I mean, that kind of blows my mind too. And obviously that gets into the AI side of things.
Yeah, we have AI tools at Business Sergeant. We have Recruit CRM, is the tool we use, and we've used some other tools, and we have some other apps.
Yeah.
And the unfun part of recruiting is the sourcing candidates for days to get a short list that's worthy of the fee you charge, and not just people that are applying off the street. Passive candidates, folks already happy somewhere else, like the folks that are constantly interviewing or changing jobs every year or two, like they're not really valuable. They're plentiful. People hire us to find the best. And steal them, stealtalent.com. That's a website I still own. I got to do something with that.
Stealtalent.com.
Yeah, I own that. I've had that URL for a while because I just think what a fun brand that would be.
Yeah.
Just like, well, what are we going to do? Well, who's your competitors? Who's kicking your butt? And let's do a little recon over there and see who's good. And, that's one of the strategies I coach to my teams.
Yeah.
Is like, well, we got our butt kicked by so-and-so. Well, if you can't beat them, have them join us. And then because anytime you steal a unicorn, right, from your competitor and you trade them a donkey, like that's a good ROI. You got really good and they got really bad on the same day. So it's like a closing speed with their
or the unicorn just leaves and because of the culture, right?
Yeah, well, I mean,
I had that conversation with a friend, literally this morning on the phone. I'm like, wow, like they want to take you from that role to that role, and they don't remember what you did for them the last decade.
Yeah, that's not good. I mean, like unicorns are
they're
valuable.
about to lose the unicorn because they feel like they've hit their growth cap, and they're like, well, maybe we don't have the necessity there. Maybe we have to nurture some more, whatever, be more active on something instead of,
I think the company's culpable of not having like career pathing or career design. When you have a unicorn, right, they eat Skittles. They chase the rainbow. A donkey, a jackass, a burro. They'll eat metal and wood, and you put anything in there, they'll chew it up. What happens when you have a unicorn? You put a donkey next to them at a similar rate of pay. Like this leads me to the bad apple effect.
It takes the unicorn.
Yeah. So the bad apple effect was a study that was done over many years. You can Google it, bad apple effect. It's awesome. Yeah. And they did all these vignettes of these studies where they had 3 or 4 A players, and they would insert like a B or C or a D player into those teams. In every case, the A players adopted the C behavior, attitude, and results. Right. Sometimes within minutes. Wow. Minutes. Whereas not a single C player became an A player or even rose to the level of a B player, because that's not how it works. Right. So I'm a big fan of saying unicorn, jackass. Like they were like, you can't. I know the approach is a little out there, but it's kind of humorous. And a lot of time when you're doing this difficult human work, you kind of have to make some light of this. You really kind of have to diffuse the situation. Right. Like, obviously, we're not going to tell a human they're this, and we need to be kind and caring and good humans. But when you're having these high-level discussions, like, don't kid yourself. Yeah. You put a donkey in the unicorn pen, like there won't be any Skittles left, and they're going to fly away, and your competitors has a whole bowl of them, and they're just waiting for them to, you know what I mean? Yeah. That's what happens to the rainbow poop that they
I know.
leave.
I was tracking with the poop.
Yeah, all right. So,
I mean, we're in Colorado, so I mean, there's plenty of things around Colorado that people use to see more rainbow poop and things like that.
Absolutely. This is a good state for
Did you ever do something like that?
Well, I did an ayahuasca trip 3 summers ago in Costa Rica, and it was
not in Colorado, but in Costa Rica.
No, I went to Costa Rica. I think they're working on that for Colorado. I think mushrooms.
It's been on the ballot a few times.
Mushrooms they have approved, and I know there's some therapeutic things they're doing with that are quite helpful. Yeah. And I'd never done hallucinogenics in my life. That wasn't my jam. Yeah. So why not just start with like the mother of all difficult experiences and do that 4 nights in a row and exercise.
What was that like? I've never done that. So what's that like?
Well, it wasn't recreational. Like there were parts of it that I would definitely call interesting, but that it was projectile purging this way and that way, and that's as graphic as I'll get. But it's 4 nights of getting all the bad stuff out, and it really does work. Yeah. It's a good way to lose 7 or 8 pounds and drop off some demons in the jungle. Like there must be a collection of them down there, because I felt, light as a feather when I came back. And now 3 years later, I'm thinking, I don't know, I still feel pretty darn good, but I'm starting to notice maybe I've got a coat of paint of BS.
Maybe I need to lose another 8-9 pounds.
Yeah, like well, that's probably a good idea too. Like just for the sake of health. Yeah. But it's something that I've recommended to several colleagues and friends and clients, and a handful of people have taken me up on it and reported back, you weren't kidding. Like I've been carrying some stuff. I didn't know what it was, but the way it was pitched to me essentially, and I was watching a Joe Rogan podcast with Ron White. Yeah. And Ron White was having a lot of trouble with drinking. And of course, owning a tequila brand is probably not a great side business for someone struggling with that. But Ron went down to Rhythmia Life Advancement Center where I went. It's the #1 place to do ayahuasca. They've handed out more ayahuasca. I think it's 15,000 patients or whatever over 10 years. They have data.
So it's not really like a shaman with ayahuasca.
Oh, it's the shaman, Taita Juanito. It is the shaman who documentary, but it's pretty bougie. It's pretty posh. You know, they have doctors and EMTs, and it's a luxury resort.
Yeah.
It's expensive, but if you're going to go do something like that, and you have no experience. My recommendation is go there for your first one. You know, after you're experienced, maybe you do more of the rustic experiences in Peru or Colombia.
The hippie jam.
Yeah, or Boulder. You know, with some guy named Bob and some brew he got somehow, and like that's a whole thing. But it was pitched. What Ron Weiss said is, it was pitched to him, and he understood a lot of people that had gone through that already. It was 10 years of talk therapy in 1 week, and I said, "Wow, that sounds efficient."
Yeah.
Because, you know, some people have great experience with talk therapy, others don't. It just reopens, pecks the scab and brings the wound open. And just when you're about ready to have a breakthrough, and that's time, we'll see you next week. So it's just this cycle that didn't work. And I didn't do a ton of it, but I did enough of it to say like, I don't think this is helping me.
Yeah.
And when you're like having these conversations with yourself or the moon or the ceiling fan that's melting off the sky, and you're trying to make sense of all this, the clarity in the morning coming out of the haze and the epiphanies and it was just really cathartic. I can't really describe it. I'm a huge fan. I never would have thought I would do something like that. But 3 years ago, for whatever reason, just all that drama, that stress, depression, anxiety, you know, guilt, you know, unhealthy relationship with alcohol, like, you know, just things that just kind of, before you realize, you're like, I'm not in a good place here. This doesn't make sense. And I don't know why I feel this way. I just do. So just leave that down there and come back kind of fresh, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and open and raw. And the integration, I'd recommend not just diving into life and work, and my integration was not good. So if I was to do that again, I'd clear the week after that out and really just go look at some butterflies and, you know, maybe blow bubbles or do some things, not jump into client work or give the eulogy at your father's funeral a week later or something like that, which is what I had to do, which that whole experience was really something else. And basically I went to town to help my father with hospice on a Friday, and he passed on a Monday, and that next Saturday I was scheduled to go down there, and I thought I should reschedule, and they're like, well, funeral's not for a couple of weeks. You're a mess.
Yeah.
You've already got this thing going. I'm like, let's just take all the trauma, including the most recent one, which was really hard to experience that. And it was like I said, a life-changing experience. And a couple of years ago, I would have thought, oh, that hippie stuff. I never would have considered that, but I was open. I was ready to receive, and it literally just took all that away. And now I just have regular BS that I fret about. Like it's not the deep, I don't know how to fix this stuff. Now it's like I have some skills. You know, I have some things I can go through, some morning practice. You know, taking care of myself, exercising more, not, you know.
Now you can start a band.
Yeah, exactly. You know, leaving the U.S. Olympic drinking team and, you know, like, you know, just, you know, re-engaging in everything in a more healthy way has been a game changer for me. And when people that haven't seen you in a year or so spend a few minutes with you, they're like, man, something's different about you. What's going on? You look great. You got a great energy about you.
That's awesome.
And that is great when other people realize that you've made the journey and you've transformed to the better.
Yeah, well, and I didn't know you before, so this is our first time meeting, which is really pretty cool. But I know we have probably 100 mutual contacts.
Oh, for sure. In Denver, for sure. There's 2 or 3 degrees of separation.
Yeah, it's not far. What else should we talk about? I mean, we talked about a lot, you know, so I would love, like, I know there's other leaders out there, and I know that, you know, from a standpoint of what you just talked about, there was a lot of people that got into a really bad place at COVID and then didn't really kind of come out. And a lot of that was around drinking because it was very, very prevalent. And, but like there are those people, you're out there that are listening to this, that you can change that, like, and, you know, reach out to us if you need that support, because we don't want you to be there. Like, and you have the potential and the ability to get through that. So like, I mean, what would you say to them right now to like that transformation and maybe make this the moment that they're going to like make a decision to like change that path? Right?
Well, it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
So you feel constrained. You almost feel like you're in a prison. And you sit around and you look and you're like, how did I get in this prison? Then you watch the tape, because there's a CCTV and some cells in the prison. And then you watch the tape and you see this guy, arc welding every bar together, and you realize it's you. I built the prison around my own being, one bar at a time, one spot well, and then one day you're like, let me out of here. And you're like, how did I get here? You slowly kind of put yourself there. And then the corona, like, wow, what a destabilizing event. I think about the pictures of the kids at school at band with a mask on, with a hole cut so they could play their instrument, like just the lunacy of the government and the media. And that was the most destabilizing thing. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, we hear what the government wants us to hear, right, without getting our tinfoil hats on right now. And oh, by the way, conspiracy theorists, like, and my dad was a great, I'd say it's more critical thinker with an 80% success rate on these crazy theories in the last 10 years. I'm going to go with critical thinker on that. So that whole thing was really destabilizing, knowing, like, and if you know anything about infectious diseases, right, you are safe, you are unsafe. There is no yellow, there is red, and there is green. Mm-hmm. And it's very binary, like if you're inhaling air with viruses or you're not. Yeah. So to see that 6 foot and, wiping your liquor bottles down with alcohol wipes, and then, you know what I mean? Like what a time to be alive. But I also think that it awokened a lot of people, and they're questioning things. And, now we're looking at like really what's going on. And the neat thing about social media is like, it's really democratized the media. And the legacy media, they're corporate sponsors, and, they have political affiliations. But when you go to like social media, you get the wild crazies, and you get the factual people, and you can hear everyone. Mm-hmm. So it's really cool. If we had social media in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s, like, I don't know, like if we'd be where we're at today. And I'm not quite sure what the next 20 or 30 years looks like now that people realize a lot of this is bullshit. Yeah. And it, quite frankly, I also see the memes of the aliens looking down at the earth thinking, we gave them everything. We gave them everything. And they're in like $87 trillion in debt to each other. Like, what happened with this little experiment on this rock? Because, when you're stripped down, bare, and full of ayahuasca, you realize, like, none of this stuff matters. Control is an illusion. Yeah. Like, love your people. Like, take care, help, don't hate. And the people that are not out there doing great things for themselves or their family or society, hurt people. So there's a lot of hurt people out there that are suffering. Yeah. That's why I think something as drastic as a week long in the jungle, exercising those demons out, is something that I think everyone should do. Yeah. And I would have never said that a few years ago until I experienced it myself. And it's a beautiful time to be alive. It's just an amazing. There's a lot of complexities, right? Yeah. We've got the. People are waking up with the control and the basically the waste, fraud, and abuse politics. Like, how do you know a politician's lying, right? Their lips are moving. We've always had those jokes.
We've always had those jokes.
We've always had those jokes because we've always had the suspicion. Yeah. And now that we're seeing the proof of all this manipulation.
But if you talk about their politician, they get upset at you, really upset at you.
Well, one
but
party,
all their lips are moving.
One party owns the media, 90% of the media and the government employees. It's just unhealthy. And I used to vote one way, and now I vote another. And I'm a libertarian. I'm purple. Like, I see blue and I see red. Anytime you meet someone that's fervently all the way to the left or fervently all the way to the right, like, something's not right there,
Yeah.
because both of those methodologies
Yeah.
don't make a lot of sense. So I think like we're just in this unique time. And the reason I bring this up, right, not just because it's interesting conversation, and we should be able to have this conversation,
100%,
right?
yeah.
Right. A free society,
That's
free
right.
speech should be protected, not squelched. The reason I bring this up is employees at companies are also citizens of the world and of this country, of this state, wherever you're listening to this from. So it's kind of important, because when I think the Corona thing and the last few years, what's it, 2026 now? That was 2020. In the last 6 years, like, people are skeptical for a reason.
Yeah.
Because there's data that they're being lied to.
Yeah.
So if they've been destabilized in the world they live in, the town they live in, wouldn't it be great if the 8 to 10 hours they spend at a business isn't so dysfunctional? Left is left, right is right, up is down, like, or up is up, down is down. I think when things are directionally correct at your business, you're providing a place that's stable. Because, right, they have your family life, you have your work life, and then you have your sleeping life, right? Life's too short for a small TV, an uncomfortable mattress, and fill in your third thing wherever that goes. If you're going to spend a third of your life with a group of people, can we speak the truth? Can we call the sky blue? Is the grass green? Okay, good. Since we have that together, now we can then be ourselves. But we all have to pretend that this is that and that is that. Then we really don't have a genuine human experience, and we're just BSing,
Exactly.
like they are on the TV shows.
But that's where a lot of conversations end, is there, right? They don't get to the depth.
Healthy conflict.
Right.
So people have been trained for at least 2 decades now, maybe more. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Right.
And we've also been told to not talk about religion or politics in the office.
Right.
So now we have an entire generation or two that is apocalyptically bad at talking about religion or politics.
Right.
So, the great thing about being self-employed is, and branding yourself as the business sergeant, is my people find me.
Yeah.
The people that want an honest, kind. And what I mean by kind is being nice.
Yep.
Is being passive aggressive.
Yeah.
I grew up in Minnesota, the land of the most passive aggressive people in the world, the Midwest. Oh, that's wonderful, idiot. As soon as you turn around, right? We go to New York and they're like, F you, no F you. Like, what happened?
And they don't care.
Oh, they're friends. Or that's how they say hi. That's a stranger. That's a greeting.
Yeah.
Right? Then you go out to the West Coast and it's like, bro, hang 10, like, so every part of the country has its own thing. But back as like Americans as a whole, the workplace, you can decide to have a company it's honest, it's truthful, it's authentic. So I'm into authenticity is what I'm into. I just, the older I get, the less tolerance I have for just pure bullshit.
Yeah.
So when I see it, I'll call it out. That kind of sounds like bullshit to me. And everybody's like, what did you just say? I'm like, yeah, this is how this is going to go for like 2 years. So, want to get that up front in the conversation. But how do you win a Best Place Work Award? How do you be 94% engaged?
Yeah.
By describing, this is the vibe of this tribe. And if you ain't vibing like that, we're going to miss you.
Yeah.
Versus trying to be everything to everyone.
Yeah.
But then we have to play all these reindeer games. And that just complicates the mission. Business is hard enough.
Yeah.
The world is hard enough.
Yeah.
Like, I choose to make things as simple, and that happens through authenticity.
Yeah.
And being kind. Because being kind to someone often involves a difficult or an uncomfortable conversation. But there's a benefit to them and to you and the greater good when you're willing to be vulnerable and say, hey, I have some feedback for you. Are you open to receive that?
Right.
And then really make it be helpful, not punitive.
Yeah.
Versus
the passive aggressive. I got some feedback for you.
Well,
there's that side too.
Or I'll hear, hey, we have this person we need to exit. They are now to the level, this is toxic. What kind of paper trail do you have? None. Okay, good. So now we're having to start those reindeer games for 6 months to a year. And if you'd just been honest every quarter, then they would have already opted out, because they know they said, I will meet the standard or I will leave. And that conversation never happened.
Yeah.
In their world, they think they're crushing it.
Yeah.
my mom said I'm the best in the world at this. And, I believed her.
Yeah.
And then they take that into the workforce and are inconsolable or don't understand or get litigious because you didn't have those kind conversations along the way. So
Yeah.
I'm now in the kind business, not the nice business. And I try to be nice, but
Well, being kind is actually understanding and listening. It's not just like having to know you're right. I know there's a strategy in debate that you have to take the other person's side. Like, so if you had a really, really strong opinion on something, now all of a sudden go argue the other side to try to convince yourself the other way. Because now you can see the other side's perspective if you just get out of your shell to like, oh, over
I wish
here.
more people would
right?
do that.
But think about that. We're
Yeah.
not taught that in school. We're not
No.
taught that. It used to be in debate classes, or it used to be in different, like, I guess, I don't know, places. But like you have to take the other person's side and like argue against them, and they have to take yours. Like, I mean, that is a way. Like, if we actually got into a good, engaging conversation, and you're completely opposite of what I'm thinking, why wouldn't we do that over a beer?
Yeah, I mean,
Or over dinner. Doesn't have to
that's
be a
an
beer. It could be
intelligent
a root beer.
conversation.
Yeah.
And what if we even decided to agree to disagree, but I didn't take you out of my phone contacts because you didn't say it like I'm supposed to say it. Right. That's the problem that we face today. So that reminds me, there's a saying, an ism. I have like 1,000 isms.
Well, I think we got like 15 or 20 bumper stickers and T-shirts already from this show.
Yeah. So like I am a walking bumper sticker.
.com.
Like,
Do you have that .com? I have a bunch
I don't.
of bumper
Yeah,
stickers.
but I should think about it.
Bunch of bumperstickeridea.com.
I coach one of the most successful bumper sticker companies on the planet, Sticker Giant.
Seriously?
Up in Longmont. Forbes Small Giants winner. Like, love Sticker Giant. Like, the best in the sticker game. They also have a Guinness World Record sticker ball. I think it weighs 300-400 pounds now. It's pretty neat. So the saying, the ism that comes to mind when you said that is something, I don't know where I'm going to steal this from. It's not mine. So it's not really larceny at this point. It's fight like you're right, listen like you're wrong.
That's a great
So I tell people that. I get a facilitator to some kind. Okay, hey everybody, fight like you're right, but listen like you're wrong.
Yeah.
You're listening like you're right, and all you're doing, I can see you just waiting to attack here.
Yep.
And you know what I mean? That's not what we're doing. We're listening. We're asking clarifying questions. Healthy conflict is what brings commitment. When you're commitment, then accountability comes in. Talking about Pat Lencioni's 5 dysfunctions of a team. Trust is on the bottom. You got to be vulnerable. I got to trust that you're doing it. You got to trust that I'm doing it. I got to trust that we're all here for the right reason, and then I can trust that you'll back me up. And if we can be vulnerable in our trust, then we can get into healthy conflict. And when we can participate in healthy conflict, you and I don't agree on something, and we can still have a beer, and I'll see you next week for a beer, and I'll give you another example while you're wrong. See you later. You know what I mean? Like, keep it fun, keep it playful, healthy conflict. Then we can commit to things. And once you're committed, then you hold people accountable. Once you're accountable, then you get the results. That's this triangle with the results on the top. Trust is the basement. So people hire me and say, Chris, the business sergeant, can you make my team more accountable? I'll start with, well, how okay is it to speak the truth here?
Yeah.
So if I can't speak the truth, when was the last time somebody that was the dumbest idea I've ever heard? Well, no one ever says that. Are you the only person I've ever met that all your ideas are great?
Yeah.
Or is there not an ability? Well, so I'll challenge things, right? There's a few tests that I have verbally for folks when I start, just to help me assess where things are at. And then when they claim a high level of something, I'll just, well, I saw this, which is actually a 2, not an 8.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to have a conversation about why I think it's a 2 and why it's not an 8. Would you like to engage in that? And then have a factual conversation and examples, and just be like, that's okay.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks that. It's perfectly normal. Now you have to decide, do we want to stay in make-believe land, or do we want to come over to where I'm saying? And then they make the commitment to fully realize that. Then I now have license to do my stuff, which usually includes removing the wrong people quickly and replacing them with the super right people.
Right.
And then everything comes into play. And that's hard to do for people, but it's a lot easier if you do it with somebody that's what they do for a living.
Yeah. Yeah.
And has access to the world's best talent and understands the boat's going to go faster without that weight in it for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then it's going to go faster than it's ever gone before, Because when we fire a bad boss, and people don't quit crappy companies, they quit shitty bosses.
Yeah.
And when we get rid of a crappy boss, oftentimes you see number 2 and number 3 just light up, and they end up stepping up and doing 10x of what old number 1 used to do, because they were actually throttling or limiting these very talented people with an oppressive management style or stealing ideas. You ever met a boss that's we failed because of this person, I'm going to get rid of them. Like, I'll hold them accountable.
Right.
But every credit comes up to them.
Yeah.
They'll take all the credit, but very selective.
It's all their ideas.
I'm always looking for that person, because that's a fun person to spar with.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Chris, I've loved our conversation. This has been awesome. I hope you at home have really enjoyed what we've talked about. I think we went through a lot of different things. We definitely have 8 to 15 bumper stickers or t-shirts that we talked about, at least statement-wise. And we talked about some fun things, some real things, and ultimately principles that can really help you. And so I hope that you enjoyed this. Share this. We're here to inspire, encourage, innovate, and also bring encouragement and help you come through adversity if you're in there, but also help you get to the top of your peak performance and where you're going. So appreciate it. Until next time, thank you for joining us, and Regenerative Inspiration. Have a good one.